Hi guys, it is your favorite person slash people with... I don't care if I'm not your favorite person, okay? Let me talk to the audience that we don't have. Okay, anyway...
Well, we have an imaginary...
Okay, shut up. It's taking a lot of effort to not say your name. Anyway, back to what I was saying. This person, who always does your lovely announcements, has some really bad fucking sinuses right now. I'm exhausted and have no filter. So someone else is taking over Jessica's part today. So you're not gonna get the usual, "Hi guys!" from me. You're welcome. And now, to let the show begin.
Runs away.
I would. I really would.
Shit, where did...
Already.
I don't know where we were!
The second that you were given a task. Fucking shit, I don't know where we are. I can't see.
Oh, now I remember. You're somewhere on this page.
Okay.
There you go. I made it sort of easier for you. We were at the part where they like received hot chocolate, and they were like, "Did we just get pranked?" And it's like, well, I don't know. The dad didn't worry about his sense of
Here
making
you
it.
are, he said jovially. Hot chocolate for everyone, even me. He set the tray down on the coffee table and took a seat in the battered green armchair that seemed to fit him like a coat.
The wife needs to make better choices on choosing a father.
Yeah. He set the tray down on the coffee table and took a seat in the battered green armchair that seemed to fit him like a coat, as accustomed to his body as he was to its form. They reached forward and took the cups. Only Jason reached for the marshmallows. Clay looked around from face to face. "Look," he said, "I know you don't believe me, but Carlton does things like this. Although I have to admit, this is probably the weirdest. It's not right making you relive all that stuff from when you were kids." He stared into his mug for a long moment. "But I need to have another talk with him," he said quietly. "Believe me, my son has a strange sense of humor," he went on. "You know, for high school, we sent him to a place in the next town over. No one knew him. He managed to convince his classmates and his teachers he had a twin brother at the school for the first month of class. Don't know how on earth he managed it, but I didn't find out until he got tired of the accident of getting calls from school saying that one of my sons had gone missing."
Well, those are the dumbest teachers ever. Like, they can, like, scan for that shit. Oh, wait, this is the 19-somethings. They can't scan for that. But still, they're kind of smart to know that, hey, let's ask your parents then to see if you have this twin brother. Like, they're not that stupid. They're obviously going to check in and stuff.
Charlie smiled weakly, but she was not convinced. This was different. "This is different," Marla said, as if reading Charlie's thoughts. Jason saw him disappear. He was terrified. "It's cruel if it's a prank." Marla shook her head with anger and scratched her nails against the porcelain cup. "If it's a prank," she repeated in softer tones. Look at Charlie, her face stormy, and Charlie knew if Carlton had, in fact, set all of this up, Marla would never speak to him again. Their happy reunion was over. "Yes," Clay said. "God damn it again!"
All day's a kitty sleeping on me. All day's a cutie pie. And they left me a feather.
I know.
And then they went and sat on my chest.
I know, but he doesn't see it that way. He took a sip of cocoa, which he was searching for the words.
So, let me just, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to process this. You don't finish the sentence or the paragraph first.
I did, I think. Hold on. Yeah.
Okay, so, oh my god. So, they say that this is a prank by Carlton when they were viciously attacked by animatronics that no one knows how to program.
Besides her father.
Yeah, besides the father. How the fuck do they think that Carlton is doing this?
I do not know. Literally do not know.
God, you need to write better characters.
My cats are assholes.
The twins!
Once, like, any smart character in that book would be like, okay, Carlton has no idea how to program, so he couldn't be the one controlling the animatronics. To me,
Also, we're just gonna dismiss the whole fact the fucking doors were boarded up with chains that were, like, seared into the metal.
oh, that's not important.
Oh yeah,
just heard
Officer
someone in
Dunn
the distance
dies
go,
in a few
"Charlie."
minutes. Yeah, he dies.
No, the only smart character in the book.
I think maybe he dies.
That goes by like what 12 names?
Yeah. He dies a little later.
No, he was the only decent character in the book.
Where does he go?
Oh, thank God, it's the few pages.
Okay.
Fuck, I don't know. Okay. The twins, they had a totally different personalities. Sean was this outgoing, cheerful guy. He was on the debate team. He played soccer for goodness sakes. Carlton had never gotten near a sports game without being forced. I don't know how he kept it up. Still, Marla said, but she sounded less convinced. The worst part was, Clay continued, okay, so at least they have Clay twice, talking more to himself than the teenagers. Sean had a girlfriend. She really liked him too, but he was just playing the part. Poor girl had been dating a guy who didn't even exist. I think he was surprised when he realized how upset people were. He gets carried away and just assumes everyone's having as much fun as he is. Charlie looked at John and he met her glance anxiously. Okay. Charlie.
We don't know each other, not really. And I never even liked him in the first place. Maybe he did set it up, she said aloud. Oh, Jessica. Maybe, Jessica echoed.
I saw him, Jason said loudly. Before anyone could respond, he stormed out of the room, disappearing through a doorway. Marla stood up automatically and moved to follow him, but Clay put up a hand. Let him go, he said. He needs some time to himself.
Jason, just say the damn color of the rabbit.
And I want to talk to the rest of you. He set his mug down and leaned forward. I know you're just kidding around, but I don't want you to hear you kids joking about Freddy Fazbear's, even though I'm wearing a Freddy Fazbear's security shirt. I'm part of the security now. You know, I wasn't the chief back then. I was still a detective, and I was working on those disappearances. To this day, it's the worst thing I've ever had to see. It's not something to joke about. He looked at Charlie.
How the hell is he still chief when he's got piles of case files on him?
That's in the next one.
Okay,
His gray eyes were hard, and the lines of his face were immobile. He was no longer that friendly father figure, but the police chief, staring as if he could see right through her. Charlie had a certain urge to confess, but had nothing to confess to. I'm especially surprised at you, Charlie, Clay said quietly. Charlie blushed, shame rising up in her with a flush of heat. She wanted to protest, to explain herself, to say anything that might soften the eyes that seemed to bore into her skull. Instead, she ducked her head and muttered an indistinct apology. Lamar broke. So who the fuck is Lamar? Oh yeah, Lamar broke the silence. Lamar.
Mr. Burke, Clay. Oh my God, Lamar, you were respectful for once. Yeah, let's just highlight that part because he said Mr. Burke, which is what you're supposed to do, or say Officer Burke. Like I don't go up to your mom and just say her name.
Hey Jennifer.
Mr. Burke, did they ever find out who did it? I thought they arrested somebody.
Clay didn't respond for a long moment. He was still looking at Charlie, and she felt as if he were trying to tell her something, or else read something in her face. Clay, Marla said, and he seemed to come back to himself. He looked around the group, his expression dark. Yes, he said quietly. We did arrest someone. I did. In fact, I am sure now that he was guilty as I was then. Lamar.
So what happened?
Lamar asked. There was a hush among the group, as if something very important was about to happen. There were no bodies, Clay Burke said. We knew it was him. There was no doubt in my mind, but the children had disappeared. They were never found. Without their bodies, he stopped talking, staring off to the middle of the distance, as if scarcely aware that they were there. Charlie.
That kidnapping, Charlie said. They disappeared.
She was suddenly furious, appalled at the obvious injustice.
How can this man be walking around somewhere? What if he does it again?
She felt Marla's hand on her arm, and she nodded, settled back down, and tried to calm down. But the anger was still there inside, seething under the surface of her skin. Clay was looking at her with something like curiosity in his eyes. Charlie, he said, justice penalizes the guilty, but it also must protect the innocent. It means that sometimes the guilty get away with terrible things, but it's the price we pay. He sounded grave, his words weighty. Charlie opened her mouth to argue.
But this was my prize again. Why is that not a talent? Seriously.
She wanted to say,
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to emphasize it, but it works with normal text and you emphasize with italicization, but it doesn't work when the text is italicization. Usually you do that with bold and italicization, but you don't make it normal text. It's not how you emphasize a thought.
she wanted to say, before she spoke, she looked at his face. He had a grim conviction about them. What he was saying mattered very much to him, and he believed it utterly.
It's how you sleep at night.
She thought, with an uncharacteristic bitterness. They locked eyes for a moment, then Charlie sighed and nodded, giving up the challenge. Intellectually, she didn't even disagree with him. Clay sat up suddenly in his chair. So, he said brightly, I think it's a bit too late for you girls to be driving back to that motel. Why don't you spend the night here? We have 2 more guest rooms, and you can scold Carlton for his little prank in the morning, which he won't be here. He added with a grin. Lamar and John showed Charlie, Marla, and Jessica up to the bedrooms, and Jason re-emerged as they headed up the stairs, joining the group like he had never been gone. So Jason and I will take one, Marla said, and Jessica, you and Charlie can have the other.
About John and the others.
I want to stay with Lamar. I want to stay with Lamar, Jason said instantly.
Well, of course,
Lamar
he's the only one that said
and
it was
Lamar
super.
grinned widely before he could help himself.
Yeah, okay. You said, glance at Mara over her brother's head, and she shrugged.
Take him. Keep him if you want. So what? So that means someone gets her own room, she went on. Or we could all stay together. I know everything's fine, but I kind of feel like we should all stay together.
She was voicing Charlie's precise thoughts for only a little while before, but now Charlie jumped in. I'll take the other room, she said. Mara gave her a dubious look, and even John looked a little surprised, but Charlie just looked at them and said nothing. When the door were closed behind her, Charlie said, wait, whoa. They just teleported to the room. Okay, sorry. When the door closed behind her, Charlie sighed with relief. She went to the window. It was as she imagined. Nothing in view but the trees. The house seemed completely isolated, though she knew that the driveway and the road were just on the other side. From outside, she could hear nocturnal birds and the rustling of other larger creatures in the ground below. Here we go. We're getting too much into detail. We get it. It's a lonely house.
You're about to read a lot.
Jesus. I gotta prepare my voice for this.
That's why I was trying to stop you so I could read, so you would have strength to read the other.
She felt suddenly restless, wide awake.
Looking out the window, she almost wanted to go outside.
I know, but like,
I'm trying to save you from...
I know, but they're the same meaning, so why highlight that shit? You don't put things that mean the same right next to each other. Like you're explaining what she's feeling twice. You only need to explain
She
it
almost
once.
wanted to go outside, to slip into the woods and see what they concealed. She looked at her watch. It was long past midnight, so with reluctance, she took off her shoes and lay down on the bed. It was like everything else in Carlton's house, well-worn, the kind of furniture only owned by people who have been wealthy for generations, whose ancestors could afford things of such high quality that they lasted for hundreds of years. Charlie closed her eyes in what she assumed to be a futile effort to find rest, but she lay there listening to the sounds of the woods and Jessica and Marla gossiping and laughing in the next room. She felt she was sinking into the mattress. Her breath deepened and soon she was asleep.
Okay, and here there should be a gap here for the transition. It doesn't certainly need to be italicized, so I'm just going to highlight that shit. Because even with dream sequences and transitions, you always need to put like a gap there to signify that it's a transition. You can't just suddenly go to italicization, which, thank God, suddenly italicization, or I'll be completely lost. She woke suddenly, startled from sleep. She was a little girl again, and her father was asleep in the next room. It was summer. Oh, I miss summer. And the windows were all open. It had started to rain, and the wind rustled into the room in great gusts, blowing her bedroom curtains in a they spelled frantic wrong. Dance and ushering in a fine mist. But that was not why she awoke. There was something in the air, something unshakable that gripped her. Something was very wrong. No shit, your window's open, it's raining. Who the fuck does that? Charlie climbed out of bed, lowering herself carefully onto the floor. Beside her bed stood Stanley, the unicorn. I hate unicorns. Patient and deactivated. Staring at her with lifeless eyes, she patted his nose as if giving him comfort might bring it to her as well. Quietly, she snuck past him and out into the hallway, uncertain what compelled her. She crept down. Okay, it is right there. She crept down the hallway, past her father's room, and to the stairs, and ducked down beside the wooden banister as if its open slates could protect her from anything at all. Here we go again. We're going way too much detail. She held fast to it as she made her way down the staircase, letting the rail take her weight as she avoided the boards that creaked. One by one, she took the steps. It felt like ages, like years might pass before she reached the bottom. That's what happens when you walk too slow. And when she arrived, she might be an old woman. Her whole spun out in the descent of these stairs. I hate it when it goes too much in detail. Like, we get it. She feels like she's getting old. I appreciate the detail, but it's too much.
I feel like I'm getting all of this. At last.
At last, Charlie reached the end of the stairs, and she looked down to see that she had changed. Her body was no longer small, nightgown clad and barefoot, but her teenage body tall, strong, and fully clothed. That's what happens when you take forever getting down the stairs. When she straightened from her fearful crouch,
Mom's here.
she stood taller than the banister, and she looked around her childhood home, startled. This is me, she thought. Yes.
I want to die tomorrow, but I'll be here.
Okay,
Bye.
Yes, this is
I
now.
brought my lunch bag and it's right next to you. Child. Small child.
Oh.
Thank you. Boy.
Something banged in front of her. The front door was wide open and thudding irregularly against the wall. Caught by the wind. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's right. This is the front door. My God. The rain was whipping in, soaking the floor and lashing the coat rack that stood beside it, rocking it back and forth like it weighed nothing at all. Leaves and small branches were scattered on the floor. Wow, that's a big storm then. Ripped from the trees and swept in, but Charlie's eyes went to her old, familiar shoes. Her favorites. Get some new shoes, Charlie. They were placed neatly beside the mat. Black patent leather with straps, and she could see the rain pooling inside and ruining them. Charlie stood still for a moment, transfixed, too far for the rain to reach, but close enough for the haze to slowly whip her face. She had to go to the door and close it. Yeah, you fucking idiot. It's raining inside. Inside, Charlie backed away slowly. Instead, Charlie backed away slowly, not taking her eyes from the border of the store. She took a step, then another, and her back hit something solid. She whirled around, startled, and saw it. It was the thing. And wait, I think there was another thing. Where's the thing right here? You bold it. You don't make it normal text. It was the thing from her father's workshop, the terrible twitching thing. It stood on its own, bent and twisted, with a narrow reddish canine face and an almost human body. Its clothing was rags, its metal joints and limbs stark and exposed, but Charlie registered only its eyes, the silver eyes that flashed at her on and off, over and over, blinking in and out of existence. So this is obviously Foxy. Mm-hmm. So why the fuck is Freddy on the cover with red eyes?
Don't ask me. I'm not the one who designed the front cover. It's probably the fucking author.
Audience, please evaluate that. Mm-hmm. Even if we have an audience. I don't know if we have an audience or not. Charlie wanted to run, but her feet would not move. God damn it, Charlie. She could feel her pulse in her throat. Oh, that's not good. Go to the hospital. Choking her, and she struggled to breathe. That's definitely not good. Go to the hospital. The thing convulsed, and in slow, jerky motion, his hand rose up and reached out to touch her face. Charlie drew in a shaking breath, unable to duck away, and then it stopped, the hand only inches from her cheek. Charlie braced herself, her breath shallow and her eyes screwed shut, but a touch of metal and ragged cloth on her skin did not come. She opened her eyes. The thing had gone still, and the silver light in his eyes was dimmed, nearly out. It's not my car. Charlie backed away from it, watching warily, but it did not move, and she began to wonder if it had shut down, run out of the finite current that powered it. Its shoulders were hunched forward. Hapless? Huh, okay. And it stared dully past her, as if it were lost. Charlie felt a sudden stab of sorrow for this creature, that same feeling of lonely kinship she felt in her father's workshop so many years ago. "Does it hurt?" she asked. She was old enough now to know the answer.
Yes.
At once the thing lurched to life. Charlie felt her head go light as it took an awkward step toward her. Hurtling? Why is there a T there? It's supposed to be hurling, but I don't think there's supposed to be a T there. Then again, I could be wrong. I failed at English. Its body forward as if it had only just learned to walk. Its head turned frantically from side to side, and its arms jerked up and down with dangerous abandon. With dangerous abandon. With dangerous abandon.
I don't know what that means.
Whoop.
Whoopsie.
It's okay, it deserves a big ass highlight. It almost like it's doing jumping jacks. Like, wait, gotta get my jumping jacks in. Something shattered. It was a lamp the thing had knocked over. A
Ceramic.
ceramic lamp, and the sound of it bursting on the wooden floor shook Charlie from her
Stupor.
stupor. I thought this was stupid at first. But yes, got some sense in her. She turned and ran up the stairs, swimming as fast as her legs would carry her to her father's door, too scared to even call out for him. As she clambered up the steps, some small part of her realized that they were too big, that she was nearly on all fours, tripping barefoot over the hem of her nightgown. Wait, but she's a teenager now. How could the steps be too big for her?
Well, it says that she was a little girl again.
Oh, well, shit. She was a little girl again. She realized in a bursting of awareness, and then it was over, and being a little girl was the only thing she could remember. She tried again to scream for her father. He was already there. She didn't need to call him. He was standing in the hall, and she grabbed at his shirt tails as she crouched behind him. He put a hand on her shoulder, saying her, for the first time, her father's touch did not make Charlie feel like that she was safe. Peeking out from behind his back, Charlie could see the thing's ears, its face, as it climbed the stairs in gentle, jerky steps. Her father stood calm, watching it as it climbed the final stair. Then Charlie's father grasped her hand and just gently forcing her to let him go. He went forward to the thing in large, even strides, but as he reached out to it, Charlie could see that his hands were shaking. He touched the thing, put his things on either side of his face for a long moment, as if he were caressing it, and its limbs stopped. Head still moving gently from side to side, it looked almost bewildered, as if it too had awakened to something strange and frightening. Oh, that car's Is that my car? I can't tell. No, that's blue. Never mind. Charlie's father did something she could not see, and the thing stopped moving. Maybe he plucked the power button? That could have been logical. Its head drooped to feed, its arms fell to its sides. Charlie backed up toward her room, feeling her way along the wall behind her, not daring to look away from the thing until she was safely behind her door. As she looked out one last time into the hallway, she could just barely see the glint from its eyes kiss down at the floor. Suddenly, the little silver eyes flickered. The head did not move, but in a slow, calculating arc, the eyes swung to meet Charlie's gaze. Charlie whimpered, but she did not look away, and then the head snapped off a crack like something breaking.
Charlie startled out of sleep, an involuntary shudder running through her. She put a hand on her throat, feeling her heartbeat there. Too quick and too hard, she darted her eyes around the room, putting together where she was, one piece at a time. The bed, not her own. The room, dark. She was alone. The window, the woods outside, Carlton's house. Her breath slowed. The process had only taken seconds.
Did I just hear that correctly?
What?
I thought you said her breast slowed. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what kind of breast do you
The
got?
process had only taken seconds, but it disturbed her to be so disoriented. She blinked,
Oh shit,
but
I'm getting bumps all
the
over me.
afterburn of those silver eyes was still within her, glowing behind her eyelids if they had been real. Charlie stood and went to the window, thrust it open, leaned out, desperate to breathe in the night air.
Did that happen?
The dream felt like memory, felt like something that had happened just moments ago. But that was the nature of dreams, wasn't it? They felt real,
Jesus
and
Christ,
then
I'm
you
gonna have to
woke
move.
up. She closed her eyes and tried to catch the thread, but it was too difficult to tell what was a dream and what was not. She shivered in the breeze, though it was not cold, and brought herself back inside. She
Well, I
looked at
mean,
her
if you
watch.
magically turned yourself into a little girl, I'm pretty sure that's a dream.
Only a couple of hours had passed, and it was still hours more until daylight, but sleep felt impossible. Charlie put on her shoes and shuffled quietly through the hall and down the stairs, hoping not to wake her friends. She went out to the porch, sitting down
That would
on
feel
the front
miserable,
step.
because you know, like, every time you, like, try to sneak inside the house or outside the house just seems so louder. Like,
yep.
every little step you take, it's like...
And leaning back to look up at the sky. There were traces of clouds overhead, but the stars still shone through, scattered overhead, uncountable. She tried to lose herself in them as she had as a child, but she gazed up at the pinpoint lights. All she could see were eyes looking back at her. There was a noise behind her, and she jumped, whirling to press her back against the railing. John was standing behind her with a startled look on his face. They stared at each other for a moment like strangers, then Charlie found her voice.
We're good. Wait, who is this again?
I think it's you.
I think that's John.
No, that's Charlie.
Oh, okay. Hey, sorry, did I wake you again?
John shook his head and came to sit beside her.
Oh, there's your car.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I just realized there's no adult here out today. We didn't get told to move on down.
Well, they don't... After a while, they start giving a fuck if you don't listen to them. And I don't listen to them.
Okay, so we learned that Charlie is
Pussy.
and she takes some drugs.
She takes a lot of drugs.
And the